And we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 91 of Checkpoint. I'm one of your hosts, Vincent DeSantis, joined today by the Kirkland signature himself, James Walner. Welcome back to Checkpoint, your number one show rounding up all the hottest gaming news stories of the week and discussing all the relevant topics you need to know about. Thank you, audio listeners, for listening on audio platforms. I didn't do that twice because I skipped all that, and then I had to go back to it, realizing that I lost the flow completely.
That's okay.
100% lost it.
You worked through it.
So yeah, audio listeners, thank you for listening. If you haven't already, please leave us a review. It helps us out a bunch. If you're on audio platforms and you haven't checked out YouTube, please go ahead and do that. We're on youtube.com/strictlycasual. A subscribe really helps on there. This episode is brought to you by Manscaped, but we will talk to you guys about that later. James, how are you doing? And what have you been playing this week?
Long story short, finals are absolute hell.
Okay.
Absolutely dying. But in the small moments of time, the brief periods of time, I've been making the excuse that while like potatoes are cooking, like because those bitches sit in the pan for a while. While those are cooking, or like while something else is going on that I can like take a brief look away from, I will jump into Metroid Dread, which I started this week, and just like go from save point to save point. Like, oh, get new area, save point, boom, stop. It's like 10, 12, 15 minutes of gameplay, stop, and I'm good. And it's really easy for me to like compartmentalize and say, all right, I'm good, moving on. I'm going to revisit this later. But I absolutely effing love Metroid Dread.
Okay.
I've literally only played maybe about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But I just love the way it feels. I love the way the environments work. I hate that sound. It's so bad. Like it's terrifying. But I'm just in love with the game right now.
Cool. I can't wait to try it. It looks cool from what I've seen
And
you play.
and I got the special edition, the collector's edition, and he's gonna grab it. It's right there.
You can show this off, James. This is your big
So
boy.
this
Oh,
is-
whoa, I didn't even realize the other side.
No, the other side's really cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's such a great box deal. It's
Look
got
how
like,
huge it is.
I know, like
It's fat.
it's got an art book. It's got art cards that I would love to frame, and it's so high quality. And it's worth the price for me, someone who likes some of those extra collector's things that I can actually like display in a very, I guess like a mature way. You know what I mean? Like framed things or, I don't know. It's just very cool. Like the fact that the art book encompasses everything from, it's not just the Metroid Dread art, but it's also the art from all of the previous Metroid games.
Yeah. That's pretty sweet.
And I've been jumping into Halo, of
Yep.
course.
We played a little Halo. I played a little Battlefield this week.
Yep.
I have also played, what did I start? I started a game. Oh, I played Avengers DLC for Spider-Man DLC. And
Did you start something?
I feel like I started something.
We are in talks of starting Disco Elysium soon.
Yeah. We're in talks, which means I really want to start it, but we'll see. That's the same thing with Death Stranding, Skyrim Anniversary Edition.
Because Vince never played Skyrim.
Right, never, ever.
And I think I'm really interested to see how you'll interact with it, because it is in a lot of ways a step back because it influenced so much. So I'm not worried, but I'm interested to see if you're going to be able to appreciate the things in the same way.
Right.
Like, or appreciate the things that so many games have developed as a result of Skyrim and kind of expanded upon the systems in Skyrim that made it what it was.
Yeah.
And you're kind of getting to the root of a lot of those things.
Right. I was watching Digital Foundry's video this week on the Anniversary Edition versus the Collector's Edition that they had released 2 years ago or last year, whatever it was. And they were showing some of the frame rate stability, and like PS5 is like gets sometimes over 60 frames at a 4K strong resolution, does not checkerboard or anything. So like, and it looks sweet too. There's what do they call it? Something in the details that didn't look meshy like the other Collector's Edition looked.
Anti-aliasing?
It wasn't anti-aliasing. I would have remembered, but I don't know. Anyways, pretty cool video. They went in depth. They did all their sciencey stuff that they do. So
Cool.
It was cool.
Very, very cool.
All right, jumping into the first article of the day. DC Universe Online devs are making a Marvel MMO. This comes from PC Games. The studio behind DC Universe Online is swapping comic book multiverses to create a AAA Marvel MMO for its next project. It is being headed by City of Heroes lead designer Emmert, who has been trying to get a Marvel Universe Online game going since at least 2006. DCEU or DC
Universe Online.
DCUO,
DCUO.
the DC Comics MMO by Dimensional Ink Games and Daybreak Game Company, will be 11 years old in January, so it's perhaps not a surprise that these studios are looking ahead to their next game. While DC Universe Online will continue to be supported, Dimensional Ink Games has started to work on the next unannounced project, which we now know to be a Marvel MMO.
Very cool.
Can you believe the studio is going to be working on two of
Also, it blows my mind that DCUO is still being supported.
I'm sure there's people that play it all the time.
Oh yeah,
There's gotta be.
I can't really like blame them because I don't know what it is. DCUO isn't that incredible of an MMO, nor is it really a great MMO. Or
was it a time and place thing?
I think it kind of was. It was. Do you know what it was? It was around the time of the PlayStation 4's launch window, in which it didn't have a lot of games,
and it was just there for free.
It was there for free.
Yeah,
and I played the shit out of it.
Totally. The Q3 2021 investor presentation for Enad Global 7, the holding company that owns Daybreak, revealed that the unannounced massively multiplayer online game at Dimensional Inc. will be a Marvel-based IP and AAA, and will be led by City of Heroes designer. We already did that. Also, I'm so sorry. James and I, our voices have been absolute wackadoo recently. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Emmert co-founded City Heroes developer Cryptic Studios, which announced Marvel Universe Online in 2006 with Microsoft, but canceled it in 2008. Seems that he's having another go. Although there have been online Marvel games in the past that haven't done so well, such as the ill-fated Marvel Heroes. Nevertheless, don't expect to see it for a while. The same report describes 2023 projects as a medium term, but the Marvel MMO is strictly the longer term column, so we might not hear about that until 2023 or more. In addition to DC Universe Online and this Marvel project, Enad Global 7 and Daybreak also runs Lord of the Rings Online. I did not know that either.
Wow.
Which is one of the best MMOs on PC. They're linking that to PC Games, another article that they wrote. That is an objective opinion. Or sorry, a subjective opinion. Hopefully this Marvel one will turn out just as well. Although Lord of the Rings Online is kind of cool from what I've played of it. And because it ran on Mac and I didn't have a PC growing up, and so I played on my Mac and it ran. And that was already a big win in my book if it just played. You know?
I'm really excited for this. Just because I love DCUO that much. Will I play it? I probably won't play a ton of it, but if it's got that transmog system that DCUO had, I could be really in. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're gonna. It sounds like, based on their history with City of Heroes as well as DCUO, these are two games that are very big on building your own sort of superhero. And I guess that's MMO games in general. It's like pick a class and you are your own protagonist. You are the center of the story, or you are like kind of just acquiring abilities and skills that are really widely varying.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to see what kinds of heroes. Can I be an Iron Man type where I use like suits or an exoskeleton?
Yeah.
Is there going to be sort of like Wolverine types in which it's like genetic, or like your Doctor Strange, or your acrobatic sort of T'Challa types?
I got another question for you.
Okay.
What do you think that this MMO will adopt coming from, DCUO is now how many years old? 11 years old now. There's been quite a few changes in the MMO market since then and other games. What do you think will be adopted for the Marvel MMO that is different?
Well, I actually don't. I don't know if I can answer that question because I don't know what has changed in the MMO market. Okay,
I meant more like trends in gaming in general.
Oh,
on more of the microtransactions.
What are you thinking?
Maybe more of
like cosmetic
options? Could be. I don't know. I don't know exactly what I'm thinking because the MMOs, I have a very surface level, surface deep experience with MMOs. I play them for a bit and I'm like, okay, and I move on. So I don't know. We need an MMO expert. Never mind. I just thought you might have a good answer since you played DC Universe Online.
Yeah, the big more
than the trial that I played with it.
The big monetization strategies around DCUO, I remember, were around different like stories and different alerts and places you would go to and sort of raids that you would do, similar to almost like a Destiny model, where it'd be like, all right, here's this new location and it has X amount of missions within it where you meet X amount of characters and you experience this thing, and then you might also be able to get a new power set where you can create an entirely new hero, or respec your current power and get this other one that's brand new. And I honestly feel like that could just be transferred straight across, but I'm not an MMO expert either, so it could go anyway.
Excited nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm excited. Next up, Metroid Dread Studio begins working on a new IP with 505 Games. This comes from kitguru.net. After years of working on franchises like Castlevania and Metroid, Mercury Steam is moving on to a new IP, currently codenamed Project Iron. This time around, the Metroid Dread developer has signed a publishing deal with 505 Games for its next major project. As part of the co-publishing agreement, Mercury Steam and Digital Bros, which is 505 Games' parent company, will co-own the Project Iron IP. The game itself is set to be a third-person action RPG set in a dark fantasy world. Mercury Steam has a long history of working with Nintendo, having developed several prototypes during the 3DS and Wii U era, followed by the successful release of Metroid Samus Returns on the Nintendo 3DS. Shortly after, the studio began working on Metroid Dread, which is this year's biggest Nintendo Switch exclusive, which is huge because Metroid Dread is the Metroid franchise historically has not been a top-selling IP for Nintendo. Now, Mercury Steam is looking to develop its own IP. Specific platforms for Project Iron have not been confirmed yet, but with 505 Games publishing, we can assume it will be a multi-platform game coming to PC and consoles. Finn, are you excited? Sorry.
Let those wings fly, Mercury
Yes.
Steam. That's what I gotta. That's all I gotta say.
This is so cool to me.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Finn? I cut you off.
No, that was it.
Okay.
That was what I was gonna say. I'm excited. I don't know what, like, if I've played any Mercury Steam games.
I was
Besides-
actually just about to look this up because I don't know what else they have made.
But this is cool because I feel like this is a common, I don't know what to call it, a common success story. You have a company that has done the same thing for a long time, and they've done it very well. Okay, so they've done
Oh, wait.
Castlevania.
It literally says it, Castlevania and Metroid. So
Okay.
they've made Metroid Samus Returns, which came out in 2017 on 3DS.
Got it.
Very widely acclaimed as great. It made Castlevania 2, Lords of Shadow.
Questionable.
Yep, Lords of Shadow.
Okay.
Castlevania Lords of Shadow and Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, as well as Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate.
So,
All of which were decent.
okay. Not bad, though. Maybe bad.
Lords of Shadow 2 has a 58%
Okay.
on Metacritic.
Mostly positive hits. We'll go with that.
When they hit their Metroid, they really hit.
Yeah. So, this is cool because I'm sure that there are more ideas that are not specific to Metroid and Castlevania that this company has had over the last few years.
Right, original ideas.
Original ideas, and I'm sure they're balling those babies up into this dark fantasy RPG world.
I hope it's still I guess it's funny because they make Metroidvania. I was gonna say I hope it's a Metroidvania, but even the term Metroidvania, they've only pretty much worked on, aside from really old titles,
Yeah.
they've pretty much exclusively worked on Metroid and Castlevania.
James, I have a bone to pick.
Oh my god!
That was
sure.
you. Just
Yeah.
for in general.
Yes.
The term Metroidvania,
Yes.
I don't like it.
Why?
It's so pretentious. It's like me talking about a film and then I think to myself and I'm like, wow, I really sound like an idiot. He's trying to explain that. You know?
Why?
I think Metroidvania, because
What does it
from what
convey?
it conveys, it makes like everybody think like, okay,
He's an elitist.
he's an elitist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he plays a Metroid game. Okay. Like, yes.
Metroidvanias are a very like pretentious genre.
I couldn't even tell you what a Metroidvania is. I could tell you aspects of a Metroidvania, like certain map things that people like, certain discovery things that people do. But I don't know if anybody actually has like a definite definition of what a Metroidvania game is. It's arbitrary. I
have
don't
it.
like it.
So this is from Wikipedia.
I don't like it. Yeah. Okay.
It says Metroidvania is a subgenre of action-adventure video games focused on guided non-linearity and utility-gated exploration and progression. The term is a portmanteau of the names of the video game series Metroid and Castlevania, obviously, with games in the genre borrowing from both series. So,
better yet, let's make this a better term. Let's say
what do you have?
a game like a Mercury Steam developed game.
But Mercury Steam isn't the only title that's worked on Castlevania and Metroid.
Right.
These systems originally were developed by the original creators of Metroid and Castlevania.
I think that Metroidvania now encapsulates you could describe so many things as Metroidvania when there's just more descriptors to give.
Well, I think that a lot of games have now fall under Metroidvania because the genre has been so influential.
Sure.
So Dark Souls could be a Metroid. Yeah, Dark Souls is a Metroidvania technically.
Okay.
It's 3D. Not in terms of sort of the sort of skill based or like item based progression, but Hollow Knight is a huge Metroidvania because it's non-linear, or it's guided non-linear, but you use like utilities to traverse the the landscape. Basically, what that means is like you need items to get to certain places, or you need
Right.
abilities to get to certain places.
I'm trying to think of like games that would make you do that, and I'm trying to like. There's a lot. I feel like I don't know. I just don't like the term. I'm not against the term. I just personally don't like it.
Maybe I don't like, or sorry, maybe I don't not like the term because I I'm bitches.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Explain yourself. Explain yourself to the people that don't have the same humor level that we do. Back and forth.
If you were to frame this in a way of like, I hate bitches that play
Oh my God.
Metroidvania, I
Uh-huh.
am bitches.
Sure. Okay.
Or like,
Someone quote him on that.
because I am a person who has enjoyed Metrovania titles for a long period of time, I have no problem using the term
I
Metroidvania.
thought this was your first Metroid game.
That doesn't mean I haven't played other Metroidvanias.
Okay.
Bloodborne was a Metroidvania. Dark Souls is a Metroidvania. Those are Metroidvanias that I
Jedi
love.
Fallen Order is a
Jedi Fallen Order is a Metroidvania
Oh,
because it follows the same formula.
I
And
guess.
so basically, like they have now, you see all these games that like you hear IGN reviews that say it's a blend of Dark Souls and basically all that means is it's a Metroidvania, or it has aspects of Metroidvania design.
You know what? I'm challenging myself. I'm challenging myself right
What are you
now.
trying?
I don't think I ever like talked of things saying like they're Metroidvania, like, oh, this is a Metroidvania game. My challenge to myself is to never adopt that and try to be more specific about certain things.
It's just a subgenre. It's a certain model of a game, right? It's
Maybe
not,
yeah.
it's
You're
just
right.
a model. It's saying like developers were following a creative vision that is consistent with other Metroidvania titles. It's not it's not a blanket statement that declares all games.
Right,
It's
right,
just,
right. Oh,
it is a model. Like saying it's saying, oh, I'm gonna stop calling games first person shooters even though they happen to be in first person you shoot.
that's a compelling argument. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. That's a
Because
compelling argument.
Doom is still a first person shooter,
Right.
even though it's very different than Call of Duty.
Okay. Yeah. I agree.
Or Wolfenstein is a very different experience
hmm
because it's like it has systems that operate independently. Or like Far Cry,
hmm
obviously like it's a or you could say like an RPG is a very wide genre, but like Witcher is very different from
Right. No,
like Disco Elysium.
Yeah, I understand. They're like, you can't call everything a certain, like, even if it falls slightly under one category, that category does not define everything that is.
But at the
of
same
that
time, it
genre.
isn't not a first person shooter, right?
Right.
Just
No,
like
I
RPG,
get it.
it's
Yeah.
still an RPG.
Yes. Okay. Your argument was compelling, James.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah. Still, the term makes me cringe a little bit, but I can respect the term. I can respect the term.
Then once you become,
A Metroidvaniast,
yes,
the vaniest of the Metroids.
hmm
Okay. Thanks. I will.
or maybe a Metroidvaniac.
Don't even get me started. Okay, Eddie, moving on.
Moving on.
EA reveals plans to build a quote connected Battlefield universe across multiple games and studios. This comes from Eurogamer. EA has announced plans to build a connected Battlefield experience spanning multiple titles and studios, alongside news of a senior management shakeup that will see DICE general manager Okar. It's Oscar. Shoot me. Don't even. We're clipping that. Just kidding. Oscar Gabrielson depart from the studio, and Respawn's Vince Zampella,
The boy.
huge, take on the role of Battlefield franchise boss while retaining his existing managerial duties. So he's still over there at Respawn making big things, but he's like, now I'm the senior management of DICE Battlefield. That's a lot of responsibility. Zampella revealed that EA's plans to create a multiple game connected Battlefield universe in an interview with GameSpot, explaining it would feature an interconnected world with shared characters and stories with the player at the center. The aim of the move, Zampella claimed, is to grow Battlefield and meet players where they play through various experiences and business models, including upcoming Battlefield Mobile, as we've known about for a while. I don't know if anybody's excited for that. Yeah, has there been any successful?
I thought Call of Duty Mobile was very popular.
And I'm not gonna lie, they had pretty decent FPS mechanics.
That's what I
for the
heard.
phone. Yeah, it wasn't terrible. And you could sync your controller up flawlessly with it.
Wow.
Yeah, it worked great.
Okay.
As for Battlefield 2042, which has continued to struggle with technical issues following its disastrous launch, which
That's strong language.
I have a point towards that in the negative, not the positive way.
As in, you
says,
agree?
oh, I do agree with this.
Okay.
Yes. Zampella says the immediate goal is to evolve and grow the experience with DICE, Ripple Effect, and Lado's studio. Lado is, I've skipped this, but we talked about this a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago. I'm forgetting his first name now, but he was the co-creator of Halo, who is now in the Battlefield management circle. He left his job at Microsoft Halo to work on Battlefield, which is an odd move to me with the success that Halo is having right now. Splitting off and jumping on a sinking ship right now is interesting. Unless there's some...
Maybe he just got a really big check.
Could be.
Yeah.
It really could be. Zampella also insists that Battlefield 2042 isn't being replaced, but rather the aim of the newly announced universe is to add to the game's foundation to provide an awesome array of experience for our players. So what I've read about this is Battlefield 2042's world that they've created within that game is their groundwork for other games that are going to sprout off of the same story, which is an interesting
Very
story.
interesting.
The only thing is, like, through the game, it's multiplayer only. You just get you get hints of what's going on through, like, I don't know, menu screens loading, the intro cinematic. There are some cinematics that you can unlock by playing the game.
Interesting.
Which dive into some more story and lore stuff. And there's lore with weapons too that kind of add to the story.
That's cool.
And specialists. Interesting. It doesn't really. The campaigns, I get why they dropped the campaigns. They haven't been successful in the Battlefield games. But anyways, I'm excited to see where this will go. My point towards the disastrous launch section of Battlefield 2042 just released their third major update for the game today, which, thank God, the gun handling is so much better now. It is so much better. It feels so tighter. But my biggest problem is that 1 in every 3 to 4 games, we'll say 1 in 3, you load in the game and you're not able to choose your loadout. Everything's grayed out, and you spawn in with the starting gun. And when you die, you can't. It's just the starting gun the entire game unless you leave.
Oof.
That happens every time crossplay is enabled.
Ooh.
If crossplay is not enabled, I don't have that problem. So
Okay.
depends.
Very interesting. I'm really excited to see where the ambition leads for this to different forms of storytelling. I want first-person shooters to have really good narratives. I think the last narrative shooter that had a really great campaign, or at least from what I know, is Titanfall 2, which is widely regarded as kind of the first-person shooter campaign to experience.
But you don't really like FPS campaigns in general, right? Or like
I'm just indifferent. And none of them have been compelling for me.
Okay. I guess I'm maybe easy to please when it comes to this. Because like I liked Modern Warfare's and Black Ops Cold War's campaigns. Now I'm not trying to argue that they're like my top games or anything, but like as a 6-hour experience or whatever, I was like, perfect, loved it, great addition.
Yeah, maybe I'm just hard to please that way. Next up, speaking of Titanfall, beloved shooter Titanfall will be pulled from stores permanently. This comes from Kotaku.com. Titanfall, the game which
catapult.
Why can't I say that? Catapulted Respawn Entertainment to the status of EA's Star Studio, is being pulled from digital storefronts and subscription services on March 1st, 2022. And this is the Kotaku author writing.
Yes.
This, to me, sucks. However, given the game's most recent brush with some very bad hacking, it isn't particularly surprising either. For the last few years, Titanfall has been plagued with a myriad of problems, most troubling of which had been the widespread hacking throughout the game's multiplayer. Both Titanfall and Titanfall 2 were hit with multiple DDoS attacks, which crashed the game's servers, several hacks which would cause players' games to crash, and even claims that some security flaws could permanently jeopardize the health of your PC, which Respawn disproved, thank God. These security risks, in addition to Respawn's insistence that they aren't working on Titanfall 3 right now, but could someday, make the current state of Titanfall anything but cheery. Respawn has said the franchise is at the core of the studio's identity, but this is all we really have to go on for the future of the series. For those of you who haven't picked up the game, it will remain on sale until March 1st, 2022, so you still have some time, ample time. And the game's multiplayer servers will remain online even after the game is taken off stores and subscription services everywhere. Goodbye, Titanfall. Rest well, my sweet mech prince.
I should probably buy this.
Yeah, you
just
should.
to have it. So when it goes away. I
It's
like
fun.
Titanfall 2 a lot.
The system, like, it just plays so well.
Yeah.
The mechanics are so sound. Everything feels good.
Mm-hmm. Well, but it's even better in Titanfall 2. Like, they really, like, nail it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, sad that they're pulling it because some stupid people hacking the game.
Hacking the game.
Hacking the game.
They must have been some really bad hacks if they're like, yeah, we just gotta pull it entirely, you know?
Well, I think we've talked about it before. All right, the hacks on Titanfall. I'm sure we have.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think we have.
Okay.
But it was ugly. It was not good.
Okay.
Not good at all. But ho ho ho, gentlemen. The holidays have come early here at Manscaped, the leading men's hygiene brand. Manscaped just launched new products, including their all-new ultra premium body wash and 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. It's time to give yourself or someone that needs it the gift of beautiful skin, hair, and balls this holiday season. Go to manscaped.com and use code strictlycasual for 20% off plus free shipping. Woo! Jingle balls to the walls, fellas. Listen up. Untrimmed pubes are a thing of the past.
Get out.
And it's possible that you have Santa's beard in your pants. It's time to leave your significant other some cookies and milk at the bottom of your chimney.
Come on.
I'm talking about the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. The Manscaped Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Crop Preserver, the Crop Reviver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant, moisturizer, and toner. It's time to keep your North Pole feeling and smelling fresh. This hygiene bundle will also come with a pair of Manscaped anti-chafing boxers that
They're
keep
great.
your junk feeling fresh all day. The
Yes,
perfect
sir.
package is for your perfect package.
Come on,
James,
baby.
I need more pairs of Manscaped underwear.
I do
and
too.
that's
They're
just
too
it.
good.
They are so good. Ladies and gentlemen, that is 20% off plus free shipping with code strictlycasual at manscaped.com. That is 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com with using code strictlycasual. Clean up your nuts and make Santa proud this year.
Do you know what happens to people who don't make sure their balls are clean
What?
when Santa comes
What
on
happened?
Christmas Eve? They get cold.
You heard it here first.
You get cold. That's just the sad truth.
Yep. Facts. It's the fact of the matter. Thank you, Manscaped.
Thank you, Manscaped.
Appreciate you.
First 6 games. So we got an updates this week. We got updates on Halo Infinite progression. We talked about it last week in the podcast a lot. And so we're finally getting our first round of changes to the progression in Halo Infinite.
God
So
bless, bro.
this comes from a thread of John Junizek on Twitter, who is one of the 343 devs. Is he like
It's just on the multiplayer management team.
on the multiplayer management team? Great. He tweeted this out November 29th. He said, when we made our initial change to progression, which added daily play one game challenges, updated weekly challenges, and doubled the duration of double XP boosts, we promised that we'd monitor the data and make additional changes if needed. Now it's the time to follow up on that. After seeing how XP was earned with those changes, we noticed that players were starting their sessions with slower payouts than we'd like. To address this, we will be increasing the XP payout for the first 6 matches of each day. An outline of this update can be found below, and here's where it goes. First game, get 300 XP, regardless of challenges. So this is, you play your first game, you get 300 XP, no question, not whether you win or lose. Second game, 200 XP. Third game, 200 XP. Fourth game, 100 XP. Fifth game, 100 XP. Sixth game, 100 XP. And everything after the seventh game included, 50 XP. And he says, we believe this increase will help address those slower initial payouts while also benefiting those of you jumping on each and every day.
Sweet.
Finn, I want to know your initial reaction to this.
Great. This is a step in the right direction for me. I don't know if it's the answer, but it makes me much happier to play the game and to actually see a little bit of progression. Whereas we could have played and my progression would be very small.
Mm-hmm.
This does not fix any of the things that we talked about cosmetically, which is a huge reason that you and I both play games.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe on the progression front, it's better, but what am I actually progressing towards? That's the question.
Exactly. And I have another issue with this because even though this fixes feelings of not progressing in the battle pass, it still doesn't provide any incentive to do any of the actual things in the game aside from challenges, right? So that you still don't get XP based on based on game performance, whether that's leaderboard or whether or not you win or lose, but rather it is you just play a game, which means you can start up a game and you could camp in a corner and go AFK for an entire game. I mean, granted, you get kicked off for idle, but you put a rubber band on that bitch and you call it good.
Wow.
And that, like, you get your 300 XP. Then you just have people boosting XP in lobbies who, like, you don't have to try. You don't have to try and play the objective, which is like probably one of the most paramount issues with the Halo community right now, is just people not playing the objective because they're either working on challenges. Well, because they're working on challenges. And so my issue is if XP was tied to performance in a way that is more meaningful, I think that's a start in the right direction. However, I will say this in regards to all of my criticism is I know 343 has to come to Microsoft with all these things in a very particular, in a very deliberate manner, in which they need data and they need all this feedback from their players so that they have something to bring to Microsoft saying, listen, like, this is what our community wants and this is how we will bring in more players and make more money and have a bigger player base and all these things, because we have these people who actually want this. They can't just go off of like, oh, this would be better, because they need data to show their executives to make the changes that we actually want. And I think 343 has been really intentional through that process and
transparent, I'd say.
Yes, transparent, and like saying, yes, like, we want your feedback for these reasons.
Yeah. And I a lot of it is 343 does not have the final say on some of this stuff.
Yes.
So like, you just can't be mad at them for everything.
Yes.
So
don't send death threats. I haven't seen any death threats to 343,
God, no.
but like, please treat developers well, because they are working very hard, and we sit in our comfy chairs and we play the stuff that they make and expect it to be perfect when they're doing the hard work on it.
Yep. Amen. Preach it.
Yep.
Preach it, baby. Cyberpunk 2077. We're back, baby.
Let's go.
With the next gen versions and
Come
the
on.
next major update coming Q1 2022 officially. This comes from Polygon.
It's finally time for me to jump back in.
CD Projekt's next gen versions of Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher 3 are coming in the first half of 2022. The company said Monday as part of their quarterly earnings update. The publisher developer said that it's a major update for all platforms for Cyberpunk 2077, and it will arrive alongside the PS5 and Xbox Series X versions of the open world action adventure game. Cyberpunk 2077's next big update and its new console versions will arrive sometime in the first quarter of next year, said Adam Kaczynski. It's Swedish, so I don't know. President and joint CEO of CD Projekt in a message to investors. That's a bit more clarity than CD Projekt offered last month, when it warned that all updates planned for Cyberpunk had been just pushed to the next year. Who knows? Like, could be any time. And then The Witcher 3's next-gen update, which promises visual updates and new items inspired by the Netflix series based on the Witcher books, is expected between April and June of 2022. That was initially supposed to launch with the second or third whatever season of Witcher. So bummer there. They're going to miss that by like 6 months. So,
yep.
Sure, it'll still sell a lot of copies, though.
Oh, yeah. Witcher's just the game that... It's like the new Skyrim, in which it just keeps... re-releasing, coming to platforms, and people will continue to buy it and play it and love it. I thought The Witcher already looked great on my PlayStation 5 and on my PS4, so I'm just really looking forward to seeing what it looks like on a PS5. Will I ever get around to playing it? Probably not. I don't think I enjoy the game enough to do that, but...
Yeah. That's just another one I haven't played that I want to. I really want to play Witcher 3.
Yeah. What are you going to say?
I played some Witcher 2 on the PC a while ago. Like a long while ago. And I remember liking it, but I don't know. It looks sick.
In regards to Cyberpunk 2077, it looks like this is the time where I'll finally feel... Like, the reason why I had put it off before in the past is because I really wanted to play it, like, in its full, like, polished. I wanted to have the best experience with the game possible. And it looks like this might be the first step toward that, or it might be, like, a good entry point to finally say, all right, I think this is in some almost final state.
Yeah, right.
Which I still don't think it'll even be.
No.
Oh, this is super polished, like 100% turnaround.
There's no shot.
I think it's still gonna be buggy, but I think it's just gonna be buggy enough, like I'll say like a Bethesda game, in which it has its bugs, but you kind of just got to take it for what it is.
Character, baby.
That's the character. So as long as they're not game breaking, I will be jumping in.
Yeah. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear that, and I hope other people heard that too. James, I really think you're going to like it.
Okay.
I really think you're going to like it. And I can't wait to jump back in for the next gen patch and clear that map out and get that platinum trophy, because it's happening. It is happening. Can't wait. Yeah, it's time for random fun stuff, baby. Stories
without story, baby. Random fun stuff. I was winding up for it.
I was waiting for you to say it, but I didn't know if you were going to say it.
Fair enough.
Okay. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
You get the first one.
Halo Infinite's campaign will have a total of 14 missions.
This is pretty on par with all the other games. They're all like 8 to 12.
Cool.
So this is like 2 more.
A little longer.
Yeah. The Matrix Awakens, a new PS5 project, has leaked, which is expected to be announced at the Game Awards next Thursday.
I'm interested to see. I think Matrix would fit perfect in a games world.
I think so too.
So I'm really excited for this, even though I've only seen maybe half of the first movie.
It says like an Unreal Engine experience.
Okay.
But I don't really know what it means. This was like a leaked screenshot or whatever.
Yeah.
So could be interesting. It might even launch with the movie if it's like a small thing. I don't know. Or if it's a full game, maybe later. You know. I don't know. Beats me.
Could be fun. Dead by Daylight, which is it's free on Epic Games.
Yes.
Got it.
I should have wrote that differently.
It's okay.
PlayStation Plus free games for December 2021 have been revealed, and it is Godfall, the big edition with everything in it,
Oh.
DC Supervillains Lego, and Mortal Shell.
Speaking of Metroidvanias.
Oh God. I can't wait to play all 3 of these titles, actually.
Mm-hmm. Dying Light 2 has gone gold. That's pretty sweet.
It is pretty sweet. It was supposed to launch at the end of the year, and now it's not launching until February, which is so weird to have a game like go gold 3 months before.
That is odd.
This is on the same schedule to release in December. Like, what are they working on post-launch stuff?
I don't know what it is.
Beats me, but pretty cool. And they said they're having new footage to show soon. So,
ooh,
whatever that means.
Maybe Game Awards.
Could be. Ladies and gentlemen, that is episode 91 of Checkpoint. James, do you have any final words to say before we log off for the night?
Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to follow. Don't forget to leave a review on audio platforms. Do all the things. Everybody, have a great day.
Kisses. I love y'all. Have a great week. Peace out. See you next week for episode 92.